The air in the mountains is always still. The sound of the wind rushing through the trees and rocks is almost inaudible, but sometimes there's another sound. It's barely audible, yet everyone in the mountains knows it well. It's the sound of a hawk screeching down on its prey. In the early hours of the morning, high above a cluster of rocks, a shadow began to take shape. It circled slowly and silently. A golden eagle had set its sights on one of the baby goats that had strayed too far from the herd. Below, among the rocks, a dozen or so kids were playing and bleating, completely unaware of the danger lurking above them. High above, the eagle spread its 2-meter-wide wings, trying to catch even the slightest breeze. It adjusted its position, always keeping its eyes fixed on the unsuspecting baby goats below. Suddenly, the predator decided it was time to attack. With a loud squawk, it swooped down from the sky like a feathered meteor. The eagle shrieked as it dove toward the unsuspecting young goats, its sharp claws extended and ready to grab a victim, its piercing gaze fixed on its target. The goats started bleating loudly as they realized what was happening. The largest of them, a mature billy goat, suddenly stood up on his hind legs. He was trying to get a better look at the newcomer. That's when the predator struck. With lightning speed, the eagle swooped down to earth, its claws aimed at the back of one of the young goats. The kid let out a terrified squeal as the bird of prey swooped down on him. But just before the eagle's talons could dig into its flesh, the kid rolled out of the way. The predator missed its target, but its sharp claws still managed to graze the kid's back. If those sharp talons had dug into the kid's body, he probably would have been ripped apart in an instant. But this time the eagle only managed to knock the kid off balance. As the eagle prepared for its next strike, the billy goat charged. He lowered his massive head and slammed into the bird of prey's chest. His massive horned attacker sent the eagle flying through the air. The bird landed heavily on the rocks, stunned by the force of the impact. When it tried to rise, several other goats rushed to the eagle, hitting it and keeping it on the ground. The eagle panicked and squawked loudly, flapping its wings frantically. Yet no matter how hard it tried, it couldn't take off. Those big, strong goats kept it pinned to the ground. The eagle looked around desperately, trying to figure out what to do. Then it saw an opening and took off into the air. As soon as the eagle rose into the sky, the goats scattered, hiding behind rocks and scaling cliffs. The eagle let out a triumphant squawk, proud of its successful escape. But its victory was short-lived. The eagle had barely risen 10 meters when the goats began to climb the rocks. They scrambled up the steep slopes faster than the eagle could circle above. And then something incredible happened. All the goats stood up on their hind legs and faced the eagle. Their horns glistened in the sun, and those sharp weapons made the eagle very nervous. It knew those horns could pierce its body easily. It let out a panicked screech and tried to flee, but the goats kept pace, never taking their eyes off their prey. The eagle did not want to risk being attacked by those sharp horns, so it began to gain altitude. But the goats didn't budge. They continued to surround the eagle, chasing it further and further away from the rocks. After circling for a few minutes, the eagle finally gave up and disappeared into the distance. Only then did the goats descend from the rocks and return to their grazing. Our eagle is one of the most powerful birds of prey in the world. It's capable of catching and devouring prey larger than itself. Despite their size, eagles are not invincible. Even the smallest of these birds can pose a threat to adult goats, especially kids. But the story of our eagle ended well. It may have managed to grab one of the kids if it hadn't been scared away by the herd. But why did the eagle attack the goats? Eagles typically avoid confrontation with large animals such as goats. Usually, predators try to avoid confrontations with adult goats because they are often too dangerous to hunt. However, young goats are much more vulnerable. Kids under a month old are the preferred prey of eagles because they're easier to catch. Adult goats are strong enough to defend themselves, but kids aren't, and that's exactly what the eagle was after. When the eagle first appeared in the sky, the kids were all alone on the rocks. There were no adult goats nearby to defend them. For the eagle, this was a perfect opportunity to snatch a kid and feed its family. In nature, eagles often use a similar tactic when hunting. They wait until the moment they're sure they can catch their prey, and then they attack. After failing its first attempt to catch a kid, the eagle tried a different strategy. Instead of grabbing one of the kids, it tried to scare the whole herd away. That way, the eagle would have had fewer obstacles when trying to catch a young goat. Eagles are intelligent creatures and will often use their intelligence to outsmart their prey. When the eagle noticed that the goats weren't leaving, it became desperate. It had only two options left: either abandon the hunt or try to catch a kid despite the presence of the herd. The eagle chose the latter option and swooped down to the rocks once more. This time, however, the eagle paid for its audacity. The adult goats defended their young and drove the bird away. The eagle learned a valuable lesson that day. Sometimes it's better to abandon the hunt than to risk injury or death. In this case, the eagle could have easily been killed by the herd of goats. Fortunately, it managed to escape unharmed and lived to hunt another day. What the goats did was amazing. They showed incredible unity and courage when defending their young against a predator. And while the goat's behavior is not unique in the animal kingdom, it's still impressive to watch. Goats are prey animals, which means they're often the target of predators. In order to survive, goats must be able to defend themselves. And they do this primarily through their horns. Goats are social animals who live in groups called herds. Herds typically consist of a group of females and their young, as well as one or more adult males. The adult male is responsible for protecting the herd from predators. When a predator approaches, the billy goat will warn the rest of the herd with a loud bark. The goats will then run to the nearest high ground, where they'll stand back to back with their horns out, ready to fight. If the predator manages to reach the goats, the billy goat will charge forward and attack it. The other goats will also help, ganging up on the predator and attacking it from all sides. The goat's horns are their primary weapon, but they also use their hooves and teeth to gouge and bite the predator. Goats are surprisingly fierce fighters, and they've been known to take on animals much larger than themselves. They've been seen fighting off wolves, bears, and even camels. No wonder they had no problem dealing with a pesky eagle. The goat's behavior is a reminder that we should never underestimate the power of unity. When a community comes together and stands up for what it believes in, even the most powerful opponents can be defeated. The goats may have been outnumbered, but they were united, and that gave them the strength to win. We should all strive to be like the goats, standing up for what we believe in and supporting each other through tough times. When we do this, we become unstoppable. If you liked this story, stay tuned for more.